Welcome, and thank you for joining us for our webinar today. We'll be talking about materials management in our training management platform. And this is about courseware and ordering your materials and being able to order them online. So our agenda today will be talking about courseware and materials ordering report. So I'll show you that first. How to put together all of this in the TMS for yourself, and that includes adding a vendor, adding each material that you purchase for a class, putting those materials into a list that you can add multiple items or have just one item on, and then you add it into classes, and we'll take another look at the ordering report after that. So, materials management process is, as an administrator, what you'll do is you'll create a materials vendor for each vendor that you purchase from. You'll then create a single material or every single material that you order, and you'll associate that with a vendor. Then you'll create lists of which materials you order. If there's multiple items, you'll put them in together on the list. And if it's a single item that you order for a class, then it will be its own materials list. Then you add a materials list to a class, and based on the enrollments that are in that class, you get to pull a report of what materials are needed for your upcoming classes. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so when we're talking about materials, we're talking about anything that you supply your students for a class. That could be physical courseware, it can be digital courseware, it might be headsets if you're working virtually or have them multiple people working in the same room in different classes. It might be A+ kits. It's anything that you need to purchase for your class to run. And this feature allows you to look ahead and take a look at, based on the enrollments in the class, to see the materials you need to order for those classes. So I've pulled up higher. I've moved up two tiles. One is materials vendor and one is materials. And we're going to be using these two tiles for everything. And the first thing we're going to look at is find materials responsibilities. This is a report that you can find based on the vendor that you're using, the material that you have in place, and who it is that needs that for a class. So if you look here, you can see I have quite a few different materials. Maybe I want to, well, it won't let me do that. Goodness gracious. Oh, it's working on it. My computer's a bit slow today. I apologize. Okay, so then I can see that I have, 4 advanced manuals. I can see who it is I buy that from. I can see which students are using it and what class they are in, and my class start dates as well. So I have that upside down, so I'll hit it again. Hopefully it'll be faster this time. You can do it, TMS. And you can look at what you need to order. So that's the end result we're looking for when we go through here. And I can see my class start is still up. Oh, I have more than one page. Anyhow, so we have the materials responsibility. We'll take a look at that at the end as well. So the first piece that we need to do is to create a materials vendor. And I'm just going to go in and look at one that we already have created. Well, look at our Amazon. So if I come in and I'm looking at Amazon, I would put in the vendor name, obviously, my organization. If I have multiple organizations, we may be ordering from different vendors, so it can apply to different organizations. Who it is that this can use this vendor is based on the organization or the parent organization that is there. If it's Amazon, I obviously don't have a person that I'm contacting or an email that I'm using, but they are required fields, so I do need to put something in. I can add in the phone and address, and I can put in my URL for where I go to get that vendor and hit save, and I've got a vendor created. This is a lot of work up front, so I do know that it can be a bit much. When you go to create a material, you're going to put in a title for that material. You can put in a product number. If it's a type of book, you can put in an ISBN number. Add your author, add a description. You can choose between physical and digital for the material type. And then you're going to choose a vendor based on who you prefer to use for that service, so that you have that information when you go to order. And if you'd like, you can put in what you normally pay, and if you charge a different price for the student, you can also add that. So you'll create each material that you need for classes. And after you've done that, the only thing that can be added to a class is a materials list. So you can't add those materials that you've created directly into a class. You have to create a list for them to be added. So you might name this based on the course that you're going to use it for, put in a description of all the items that are going to be used. You can attach it to a course right here, and that prompts it to choose that or filter for that when you are in the class that's using that course, but it can be changed. Then you'll use your organization, and then you'll come in and add any materials that you want. So if I know I need an Azure Pass, and I want a headset, and I want an advanced manual, I would add all of those, or I could just have one of the above in my list and save it. So that's how you create those pieces. When I go into my classes, I already have one open. I want to go into a class, and in order to add it to my class, I'm going to edit the class, and you may need to show advanced settings if it isn't showing all of the fields here. And you'll come down to the materials list. Now for this course, my material samples course, I don't have any material chosen for it. There's no results found, but I can remove that filter, and then I can choose any item that I want for a materials list for that. And you can see here that the descriptions are added underneath if there is a description, so you can see exactly what's on that list if you put that in your description. So I can add that as my materials list and save, and it'll be on there. But let's take a look at it if it is, if I have a materials list already set up with that course, with beginning course materials in my having a list for it already. So if I come in here, it is listed in here because I think I already chose it. So it adds it in for you, and you can save it as well. And once you have all those done, any enrollments based on those classes are going to be pulling out our materials responsibilities list. On your materials responsibilities list, you can add more information. So if you need things like the product number or the ISBN, you can get those. If you want to see the price, so you're estimating what it is that you're going to be spending, you can do that as well. If you're going to be notifying students or actually sending it out, or calling them, you can add that in, and you can put in their student address if you'd like. You can add other fields, or if it's a classroom that you're sending everything out to a different site. And you can also add the materials sent and received on here, and we'll take a look at that a little bit more after our report comes up. So that gives you a way to manage, if you're doing physical materials, a way to manage your students. This is all pulling from the student profile right here for their address and phone number. So if nothing's in there, and we don't fill out many of our fake students' information. So you may need to make sure that the profiles are filled out, and you can flag those fields if they need to be done. And then I can see things like if materials have been, that's a sent and received, and whether or not those have been sent to a user and received by that user. And so I can reorder that so you can see it a little better. If I'm patient, I can. So then I can see this. So I can't mark this on this page itself, but there are a couple of places where I can mark whether a material has been sent, which you don't need to do for, maybe do for digital. But you can do this directly on a class with the pre-class checklist. So the pre-class checklist allows you to come in, and if you're doing something like a confirmation call that, or seeing if they have, you know, gone and logged in and connected. And you can also just check, mark that the materials were sent for them, or they were received by the users. Another place you can do this is on Find Enrollments. We have output options as well for confirmation call, connectivity verified, materials sent, and materials received. And so you can go here and work down a list of everything, you know, my classes that start between, maybe I'm working on April 12th to the 30th, so I can work on a group of users, and I can call them if I need to, or email them and connect with them and make sure that they have everything they need for the class ahead of time. So that is our very brief explanation of using materials and being able to pull reports on what students are going to need those materials in the near future. Let's go back to close up. We have some resources available to you. You can learn more about managing classes at lods.one/documentation. In the Training Management Systems Administrator Classes section, that will take you there. And we'd love it if you join us for another webinar next week, Thursday, April 8th. And we'll be doing 2 tips and tricks for replicating lab content using Save As. And you can register for that at lods.one/feature demos. And of course, we want to hear from you. We have a newer item for you guys to give feedback on any of our platforms. And you can go to share, if you're working in something, you go, I really wish this worked like this, or you should add this, or I don't understand this part. You can go to lods.one/feedback, and you can input your ideas there. You can also vote on other people's ideas there and see what other people are looking at doing. And our development people take this very seriously. They go over these every week and talk about how to implement them, and we'll give you feedback through that channel as well. You can join us on Slack at labauthor.slack.com, and you can review us on G2 and tell them what you think of us at lods.one/review us. So we welcome you to do any of those things. And that's it for today. And I would love it if you have any questions, and you can type those into our questions section and we can talk them through. And if not, I appreciate you coming to our webinar today and joining us on listening about materials.